Why Sarawakian pride I find very interesting is having lived there for about a year and obviously being from West Malaysia, one thing I've noticed is Sarawakians are very collectively proud of what they have and they all work towards building up Sarawak together. You're not Malay, you're not
Yes.
Iban or Chinese, or you're all Sarawakian, which I feel like there's a lot of people trying to build that up here, but at the end of the day, it's still more like segregated.
Right.
So that has always fascinated me. Like, where did that come from?
I think when you look at the history of Sarawak in terms of its political maneuver and its movement, is partly because the contribution from many races. So that in itself naturally just builds the teamwork effort. Yeah. So when you have different people of different backgrounds coming together to share the same goal, it is almost like you have a collective of colleagues that you like to work with.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in a team where everyone wants to work together rather than selfishly picking out certain agendas or certain assessment criteria on whether or not it should satisfy my business needs or satisfy your business needs. It's more like we work together for the people. So that is the message that's been carried out for the many generations in politics in Malaysia, Sarawak specifically. So that inbreeds the mentality that it is about work first, it is about delivery first. Yeah. So maybe a gist of a little bit about the Sarawak politics during Tun Taib's time is, of course, he himself is an inbred Sarawakian, a Melanau from Miri. So a family who is educated, they have their background, a lawyer as well, has experience being a federal minister during his earlier times. So of course, that collective experiences, he brings it back to Sarawak. Yeah. So of course, right now the narrative that we talk about is they're trying to bring all the expertise, Sarawakians from different countries, Australia, US, they're trying to bring them back because these are the kids, these are the generations that have the knowledge. Unfortunately, in Sarawak, if you cannot generate the kind of income that these people expect, then you don't have you're not gonna pull the interest of these demographics because they want to be paid that much. They want to be they want to be respected in a way. So for them, it's like why should I come back? So anyway, going back to the collective understanding of and the collaborative efforts from the politics that's going on. So that setup in itself and the leadership from Tun Taib during that time, we have to remember during that time we don't have social media. There's no Facebook, there's no Instagram. Yeah. So it's hard to tell the agendas and the motives of some political powers.
Yeah, of course.
So of course, maybe inside the newspapers and the inside the press, maybe it looks good, but we never really know. But the collective effort of the people and the way they look at leaders is, number one, he has to be educated. So he has that. Number two, you got to have experience. He has that. Number three, you got to speak English. He has that. Number four, you can speak to the rural folks wherever you are from, whether you're from the Bidayu Kampong, whether for your Iban Kampong, Melanau Kampong, Chinese Kampong, you can speak the language of the local rural folks. Only then they will listen to you. So he has all the criteria set. And of course, his political ties with Tun Mahathir during that time, and of course his close ties with the federal, it's easy for him to kind of like maneuver things. No?
Yeah.
So that in itself is already power of its own. So power is where people respond. Maybe the newer generations, as of now, they don't really understand why politics is important. It's important because it is the control of the narrative that you have to kind of like lead the people in a certain direction.
Yeah.
Whether it is the right direction or not, whether it's a selfish direction, well, that is a completely different story. But thank God, And thanks to Sarawak and the people in there, for some reason it's just natural to just work together, because you would see Muslims going to churches. Yes, there are incidents that happen there in Kuching. Yeah, and you would see Christians going to the mosque. Yes, that happens as well. And it's a sharing of the religion between the people. It's not to say, oh, I'm better than you, you're better than you. No, it's just we want to understand. So when we understand, is where you have peace and harmony between all the people there. So that collectively has really helped people to kind of like join forces and strengthen the narrative and strengthen the communication between the people. So it's very natural. There is no direct indication of where its origin of this peaceful kind of vibes in Sarawak, but it's just natural.
I mean, at the end of the day, what I've observed is that it all boils down to like everybody seems to respect one another. Everybody respects the shared space. You know,
you were there for 1 year, bro.
I was there for 1 year, yeah. But even like for me, the rumah hasap is always like it's always the best indicator. Somebody is like drinking. You know, there's one table is right next to this Malay chap who's just enjoying his chicken rice or something. I'm like, it's so normal and it's
just no judgment at all.
And it's not just a sentiment that I have, it's a sentiment that if you talk to like say if, people that we know also like Julian, for example. Yeah, everyone says the same thing, Guna. Like everyone that we know says the same thing from here. They're like, this is an observation that we have. It's very nice, harmonious, and respectful, which is it's very refreshing, you know. And when I lived there, fine, I'm a big city boy, so I didn't get it. Truth be told, I still don't get it. But it was peaceful.
Yes.
Yeah, I somehow you feel safer there, even though there's nothing inherently wrong with West Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe there are a few things we could stand to learn, but other than that, it's fine.
Right.
You know, it's the respect and the harmony which I found very it's nice. I do miss it.
Yeah.
From time to time.
Good.
I moved back here for about 6 months now.
So do you see like do you feel or do you see like a distinct differences between, I mean the obvious differences between like being in Kuching versus being here?
Yeah. Number one, when I got back was if you go to a restaurant like a food court or something like that, you can every race kind of has a table.
Oh really? Yeah.
Not like it's not like high school where there's cliques. It's just more like everyone just tends to mingle in their own race more. I wouldn't say completely, obviously, but it's like tends to be more. It's very interesting. I don't know if you and this is where a Sarawakian mindset can differ from a West Malaysian mindset. I actually thought when we had lunch yesterday with Guna and his missus to be and everything, I was like, okay, so there's your wife Chinese, my wife Chinese, Malay, Bidayo, and Guna and his missus Indian. I'm like, and we're all just at one table, right? Just having lunch. And I just sat there quietly and it occurred to me that, I was like, this is nice. But it's so weird that I have to think that. It has to trigger like, this is so nice. Because for you, it's probably like, I'm just hanging out with my friends.
For us, it's like normal. Yeah. It's like the different races coming together at one table. It's normal. It shouldn't, like, it doesn't strike us to be like unique.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. That's why. And hence, I guess that's why Sarawak has gotten stronger. Like you said, when it comes to like the younger generation not paying attention to politics. I just watched the there's a podcast with KJ and Abang Joe.
Yeah. You did?
Yeah,
Nice,
I watched
nice.
it. I watched it last night.
Nice.
Not the whole thing. It's bloody 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I watched it a bit, and more importantly, I was scrolling down to see the viewership.
Yeah.
I got about 500,000 views, and I started to read some of the comments, and I think people are paying a lot of attention. You know, there's the Sarawakian comments who are very happy to see things happening. But one I read in particular is that it has fostered faith among people. You know, it's like, that we are evolving. And that's what I've seen from Sarawak. I've heard about it a lot, but it's one of those cases where it's like losing weight, you know? When you are losing weight, you don't see it. Because you see yourself in the mirror every day. But when someone doesn't see you for a long time, you go like, huh. So for me, I lived there for a year. And I'm like, yeah, it's growing. And everyone's like, yeah, it's growing. And it didn't surprise me until I noticed how it's surprising everybody. And it's good lah. I'm glad I hitched my ass to this.
Because the thing about for the Sarawakians that are not in Sarawak and they are outside, you know, the reason why they're outside is obviously, you know, their career decisions, their decision to have a family outside, and of course to expose their professional life lah. Yeah, so and they miss home. I can assure you that, you know, even when I was in Melbourne, I miss home a lot, you know, being with my parents, and of course the food, because obviously I'm a foodie. So there is always that tingling emotion and sensation that you always want to come back to Sarawak, you know. So and because of that, the natural instinct of every Sarawakian in the world, in this globe, always wants to see Sarawak to really prosper. Because logically, when you think of it, you know, our oil and gas is within our borders, it's within our sea, you know. So, and because everything that's going on between MA63 and the agreements has been set between how Malaysia is formed, people have that very inner kind of dissatisfaction. They say, why are we not the ones propelling the economy? We should be the determinant. We should be a working alliance rather than to be under federalism. So that is the inner dissatisfaction. People don't say this because, you know, politically is incorrect, but I would say it because I'm a citizen. I am a Sarawakian, so I would say it on behalf of the people. That is how they feel. Okay, and they would tell me that. Because them working in the oil and gas industry, you know, if that particular region has this particular resources, then by right, these are the guys that should be determining how it should be distributed, how it should be sold, and how it should circulate around the economy, and how the people who are contributing towards that industry should benefit from it. Rather than people working outside of Sarawak, okay, whether it's working at Petronas or whatever. Now with Abang Joe, he's setting up his own Petros and bringing back all the expertise from Petronas. And even some of my Petronas friends also has kind of like moved to Petros right now. See, so that is the shift of the political narrative in Sarawak that has brought back the people. So it's good to see that. Yeah. So it's all about the kind of reaction that I would see, a natural reaction, nevertheless, because if it affects Sarawak, then every Sarawakian in the world will respond. It's like I say, it's a very natural thing. It just bonds with it. There's no explanation of its origin, but people have that natural instinct. It just works.
I mean, because like when something's going on in the country, that's. I mean, I was in Melbourne with you as well. So I remember a lot of things like when things are going on in the country, people unite, but there's something about Sarawak and you know, hanging out with you a lot back then. I was like, okay, here's where I was disconnected with you back then. I didn't understand when you were saying like, because to me it was like, okay, you you haven't what your course was.
Yeah.
You could easily have stayed in Melbourne. You could have easily gotten a work visa and all that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I was in the middle of applying a visa actually.
Correct.
Hey, I paid all the lawyer fees, everything, but in the
Yeah.
end, got a phone call from my mom and say, look, come back. So so.
But it was also, but for me, it was you wanted to genuinely, your idea was, I want to go back and help. Like, so I remember that. And I went like, okay, maybe I was younger at the time, so I was a bit more selfish. I was like, I'd rather stay here. Aussie dollar is great. I don't know, why would I want to go back? I get it. Even for me, coming back was more like, it would have been easier for me to get opportunity, or so I thought, and that didn't quite pan out.
Right.
But it was just that it was that disconnect. It's like it's amazing to me that you had the opportunity to stay there, but it almost is a conscious. I mean, yes, your mom called you back, but still, it was in the back of your mind to like, okay, I'm not going to stay here forever. I have to go back and
Yep.
Yeah, I was wow. It's the kind of shit you only see in like the movies, Like I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't even realize it. Patriotism should come from words of action rather than just words of just for the sake of saying that you are patriotic. If you're patriotic, anyone that I know who is patriotic, they won't say they are. They will just, you can see what they do and how they say it, and it's the genuine feeling of where you are from. You just want to just make it better.
Yeah.
So, and plus, Australia is temporary thing. Like for me, it never fascinated me to be in in Australia because lifestyle is different. Like as an Asian, we enjoy our, laksa and hollow mee and whatever it is. So the typical hawker food, which Australia, I mean, sorry to say some people say they do this. I say no, it's not the same.
No, it's not.
So for me, being a foodie as well, it's hard to stay there like permanently. So I'd rather be like long term. I think about I'm going to get married back in Kuching. I'm going to have kids in Kuching. That's why I should come back lah. In the longer term, because my head is always looking at 10 years, 20 years. I never look at even for me being in the previous engineering consultancy, it was like I was like, if I have enough experience and I know enough people, I just want to get out and set up my own, which I did. Set up with my partner. Because at the end of the day, it's what you want. It's what you want, and it is what I want. I just want to contribute.
Yeah.
It just makes sense for me to contribute. Like if you do it just for the cash, I don't know about you but for me it's a bit empty. Like it's just, it doesn't feel nice. I don't know how to explain. It just doesn't feel nice. You just do it for the cash, and then in the end, you got the cash, and so it's like. But to be fair, I do have the monetary advantages. I don't speak for everyone. Okay, I do have the family background of influence, sort of, to kind of maneuver easily compared to others. Yeah. So, and of course, I've been bred by my mom to be an entrepreneur myself, and to be part of entrepreneurship as early as 8 years old. So for me, when I look at that, not everyone has that. So I shouldn't judge what they are based on what they lack versus what I have.
Yep.
So I should just accept who they are, and for as long as the goal is to make Sarawak better, then that's as far as it goes. So it's a common goal. Again, we're going back to the common goal thing. Yeah?
Yes.
So that is that lah.
Yeah. I mean, and because of that common goal, you can see things gradually change and start to rise and all that, and that's why we do what we're doing with Blackstone. We're bringing it, like, we also hope to be part of
the contribution.
The contribution to Sarawak's digital growth, and it is growing.
It is.
It is growing. It is not.
I would say like it's growing. Maybe I would put, if you were to put a scale, a percentage, I would say it's probably like maybe 20%.
Yeah,
It's not really there yet. Yeah, we don't have our own Amazon.
Oh no,
Shopee, it's Singapore, so we cannot really say it's like a Sarawak product, So we don't really have something that can become an entity, a giant entity in terms of digital landscape, I mean, that's me, lah.
Yeah. But there's the reason there's potential is also because it's not. There's a lot of red tape you have to go through here, and there's a lot of on this side of the fence.
A lot of under table money.
That of course, but over there, because there's this common goal of we want to build this up. We want to be. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm a Malaysian. I still have to get a visa to enter Sarawak, which is.
I was here. You struggle at the immigration gates there. There's never a time that you was like smooth.
No. I mean, it'd be nice if you had an auto gate because I have to join, because Sarawakians and non-Sarawakians have to be in the same line to get through immigration. And I get a lot of stupid questions. Right. The stupidest question I ever got.
What are some of those questions?
Okay, there's the usual, what are you doing here? Okay, the first time I went to Sarawak, I was shocked because I was like, they asked me like, what are you doing here and all that. I'm like, why does it matter?
Because I'm Malaysian.
I don't get this when I go to Penang or wherever. Right. So why does it matter? So, okay, fine. Then they gave me a slip, which is a visa, and they're like, don't lose this. Yeah, you need to hold it. I'm like, why am I getting a paper? So getting in is fine. They'll ask you what you're doing here and all that. What the stupidest question I got is when I was leaving. And then for me, to me it's a stupid question because they'll be like, okay, what were you doing here? I'm like, whatever I've done already shouldn't matter because I'm already gone. I'm out of your hair. And why that was stupid? Because they held me there for 10 minutes. Just standing here asking me. Then they went somewhere else and they're like, I'm like, I just want to make my flight and go back to KL. I'm not going to be a problem for you.
Was this recently or was like a few years back?
This was last year.
Oh, yeah.
In the many times I was going in and out of Sarawak. I've got a fair bit of grief coming in and out. They don't. You guys don't make it easy for people like me to come in. But
maybe go back a little bit about the immigration policies in Sarawak. So, the way the policies and how it works in Sarawak generally is anyone that's not Sarawakian, you are kind of like not to say treated lah. It's just like they have their way of kind of like saying like, what are you doing here? Is it business? Is it leisure? Because most of it, if it is business, then I guess it's okay for them.
Yeah.
So if it is business, like what kind of business? There was some indication. I think Julian's mom, she is actually from KL, right? Because the dad is originally from Kuching, right? Even when Julian was born here in KL, and the mom is from KL originally. So every time when she has to come to Kuching, she faced the same thing as you as well. So you go through like, why are you here? Or you have a family here? Who is your family? They even asked to the point of where are you staying? Where is your home address? So, so for the normal folk from KL coming to Sarawak, it's like, same reaction as you, lah. But there is kind of like the pride, lah. There is the pride of the so-called supposed to be an autonomy of the immigration of people coming in. The influx of immigration is coming into Sarawak is because they want control. So it's kind of like a face to the federal government saying, look, we Sarawak, we have control. This is how we do it. So this is kind of like a subtle message maybe to the authorities on the other side to say, look, if we don't agree on a few things, we're gonna make it hard.
Yeah.
So it's actually more like a political thing, lah. And plus, my I won't say any names, but my brother-in-law is in one of the ministries, so he actually say it's more like a political control thing rather than like a hard fork policy thing. But for any West Malaysian who wants to set up a business in Sarawak, there are few things that needs to kind of like the assessment criteria they kind of have to go through, whether or not you have the funds. There's a minimum fund. You probably have to buy a property in Kuching or anywhere in Sarawak. Yeah, you set up syndrome, you need a minimum number of workers and things like this. So if you can satisfy those things, and depending on what industry you're contributing in Sarawak, then most likely you have the green light lah. Yeah. So going back to your immigration, why is it so hard to come through the immigration in Sarawak? Is because it's more like a political play. Yeah.
I got that later. The longer I stayed, I'm like, okay, I get it. Sarawak's for Sarawakians in its own way. I it's not that I resentful of that.
Yeah.
Or like I'll admit, first time I went and that happened to me, I'm the big city kid, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I thought was, who the hell do you think you are? I don't know, because I'm like the Singaporeans who think you're just a jungle. I'm like, I'm here. I'm bringing you business.
Yeah.
Why are you giving me so much grief? I just want to come in. It's not like you have, you're not Paris, you're not London,
right.
So. But the longer I stayed there, the more I got it. The more I even grew to appreciate it. And it was nice to be spend long enough time there, and then I come back. I'm like, I'm the family member that moved to Sarawak for a while. I'm like, which was nice for me to be, because I feel like a part of you guys.
Yeah.
But man, that your energy is very infectious, because it also makes, I mean, okay, bottom line, you were talking about, working for money and all that.
Yep.
I was there just for the cash, bro.
Yeah.
I'm there for the opportunities. I'm there for the cash. I'm not there for anything else. It's infectious in the sense where I get it. I want to be part of.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's, there's working for cash, and then there's being part of something almost historical. It's not almost, it is historical.
Yeah, it is.
It's to be part of history, to be part of be part of building blocks of, propping up this, what most people see is either a jungle or place with burgeoning opportunities. And I'm like, I was there. I was helping.
So you can truly understand when people say we are from the jungle. You can truly understand how Sarawakians feel. It's almost like a diss to us, So
it's a diss, but it's funny. I shared. I was at the Kopitiam, and I shared with a friend in Singapore. Ram, you remember?
Yeah.
He loves Kopitiam. He wants to come to KL just to have Kopitiam.
Right.
So I shared the Kopitiam, and his reply to me was, I honestly thought it was going to be a lot worse. I was like, yeah, that's your problem.
They always have a imagery of like what the so-called Kopitiam or whatever should look like. But actually in reality it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, with the evolutions happening in Sarawak, right? How about, like, where do you see things in terms of like the digital landscape, like going forward?
The so-called digital narrative that goes around in Sarawak is leading to that direction. It's just the problem is that, my question is, who are the experts? Who are the hands-on people doing it? Anyone can come out with any plan. I mean, sorry to say, I have a few friends or in the agencies and government agencies that, they have their plan and, 2030 plan and whatever. Say, okay, that's good. It's good. But what is the next step? Like, where are the professionals? Where are the expert digital marketers or Instagram influencers? There are some of them, but it's not to the level where it's like an industry level kind of grade. It's more like kind of like surface level, maybe like local, be like, okay, it's what it is. But generally, you don't have the expertise. But awareness is awareness.
Yeah.
And to bring awareness, there is almost for every first step of anything when you want to make things happen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when people want to talk about cancer, people want to talk about COVID-19, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but anyway, so it all starts with awareness first.
Mm.
Okay? So when you create the awareness, only then people realize, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So we have to do this. So whatever Sarawak, in terms of the digital blueprint they're doing right now, they have no choice but to just go forth with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like, how are you going to materialize it? That is the next challenge. Who is going to take lead?
Yeah.
Okay, because Sarawak as well, they have a thing where they always hold the old school boomers in the positions. I get it. They are, they are people of influence. They are Dato' Amar, Tan Sri, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's about whether or not you know your core subject. Okay, because people, when you talk about digital landscape, you talk about technology, there's so many things. There's digital marketing, one. There's influencer marketing, one. There's e-commerce. There is AI. There is language algorithm. There is Google SEO. There is paid advertising. There's so many things. So out of these branches, where do you lie? Where is your expertise? You cannot just jump from talking about e-com and then you jump straight to Google SEO. It makes no sense. You have to be firm. Like, what is the industry that we want to touch?
Yeah.
Then go with that. And also the other thing, reality checks. So people talk about they want to set up an e-com platform or whatsoever. In my head, I'm just saying, look, bro, like, you think it's easy? I mean, the reason why Alibaba and Lazada and Shopee, the reason why they're successful is because they have people behind them with the money, billions. It's not cheap to set up an e-com platform that is as successful as Alibaba or Shein or what's the next new thing right now? Like, where's everyone shopping?
Temu.
Temu. Is that what it's called? I don't even know.
No,
So anyway, so regardless of how good you are with your setup on the website, it's not about setting up the website. It's about getting that fund and running the operation cost, because shipping out those things, it's not cheap. Yeah. So that's why when your wife was talking about the bulk shipping thing.
Yeah.
So when you order in bulk, so instead of whatever the e-commerce platform is, instead of sending one item straight to the address, they send 10,000 of the same item to wherever it is. Yeah. And then from there, it just kind of like drop ship to whoever. And in terms of the operation cost, it's cheaper. Okay. So this is what, I guess, for the past 5-6 years ago, that's how all these e-commerce platforms have realized, this is one way to kind of like save the money. Yeah. So reality checks and getting the right people at the right office, at the right agencies to take charge is the next step. The awareness part, Sarawak is doing very well. They realize that you need this for the kids. Kids need to have access to internet. They need access to laptops. I mean, laptops nowadays, there's so many different brands. But for me, if you're a student, just get a very cheap laptop. Yeah, as long as you can do your Microsoft Office, you know how to use Excel, you know how to use Words, you know how to use Google Sheets. You don't even need Microsoft Office. You just go Google Sheets. It's free, right? So, and you want whatever you want to learn in the world, YouTube, right? Yeah. And of course, it is up to the teachers who also have to be technologically literate to understand and to teach.
Yeah, definitely.
To teach the students how to use it properly. Because internet, there's a good and bad. Okay. Not every information in the internet is correct. Not everything is real. Yeah. So it's one way to bring the awareness to teach the young generation, the future generation, how to use it properly, how to self-educate and also take advantage of the power of the internet so that you can really kind of like update what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the younger generation, it's not just the younger generation that needs help. I mean, the internet makes everybody an expert. for whatever thing until it doesn't work out, and then they
Until something happens.
yeah, then they start for like blaming.
Yeah.
They blame, this stupid thing, it doesn't work and all that.
Right,
It's like
right.
no, it's just you don't know how to use it. Like one thing that people seem to take for granted that I find is everybody thinks that they're a creative,
Right.
and to be fair, everybody has a degree of creativity,
Right.
but for someone like for us when we do it, or like it's more functional.
Right.
It's like, okay, it's creative with a purpose to convert. Now I'm not saying that a business owner who tries to do their own creative is not trying to convert. They're just not doing the storytelling enough that it needs to go where it needs to go. Me being in sales and back in the day, and also like now being in the creative with Blackstone, that's what I try to do. I try to create a narrative that ends up creating sales and stuff. But when we talk to potential clients and things like that, and sometimes they'll be like, we don't need it, we're good. I'm like, I mean, you post on Instagram, but sometimes their posts are not even related to what you're doing. So that's a lot, but
I agree.
It is what it is. So
I agree.
yeah, I mean,
that's where we come in and tell them, look, bro, like you're not bringing it to the next level, which is what they want, right? I mean,
for sure.
I mean, they told us they want to bring us to the next level, but
For sure.
it's for them to realize. Like I said, going back to the awareness thing. So by the time they realize it, maybe it's too late because their competitors have already got a head start.
Oh yeah.
And they realize, why are we not going? I said, well, we did tell you 5 years ago that you gotta bring this up, because if you're not, I mean, think about it. Before TikTok kind of like came into the people's mouth, to your parents' mouth, people are talking about just square content, static images on Instagram, static images on Facebook, right? Until the vertical content start to really dominate, even what we're doing right now, So that's where people kind of like this kind of content gets the attention of people, because number one is it's engaging. Number two, it fills up the screen on your phone, you don't have to squint your eyes to look what the hell is going on. So
exactly.
So when something can catch people's attention for the first 2 seconds, or maybe less than that,
or less,
maybe 1 second. If you're not catching the attention within the first 0.5 seconds or 1 second, I think you're kind of gone.
For sure.
They won't remember you. Yeah. So every time they scroll, whether it's TikTok or Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. You see all those platforms before TikTok. I mean, they weren't doing those things. Only when TikTok start to really dominate, that's where they start, look, we got to do this, because they start losing impressions on the long form videos. Because no one, I mean, honestly, like the recent podcast that you listened to with Banjo and KJ, right? That is something that we talk about. That is something that interests us, because that is our mission, right? So, but how many of them have the same interest as us? Not many, right? So if there's not enough interest to watch a 2-hour podcast or 1-hour podcast, then the next best thing is to see snippets of 15 to 20 seconds of whatever the podcast was talking about.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that now the biggest trend right now that I've noticed is like the 1 second reels. And I know that 1 second reels, they were designed so that you can get, it looks good, you have like 120 plays. You can get 120 plays if it's just looping for like, if each person loops like 5 times before they get, it's looping, then and if a lot of people watch it, then that's going to boost it up and everything look real good. It also factors into almost like the slow death of creativity, in a sense where like, yes, now I could do the 1 second thing, and truth be told, it's not to say it's really easy also, because even that 1 second now, you have to make that 1 second really count. But what I say is that creativity is like, okay, then what's the point of doing like, okay, for example, like Gary Vee always says, you have to create value in your content. And to me, value comes from information, right? So we try to be,
Yes.
you try to provide information, but like, I can't even, sometimes is you have to think, how am I even get through the threshold of like, you know, basic narrative rules. There's a beginning, a middle, and an ending.
Right.
If it begins and ends in 1 second, how do you, and what's the challenge is, how do you get the information across?
Right.
Do people even like to read now?
Right.
Because, you know, at one point we're doing like, okay, you can read further in the captions. Truth be told, I don't know if they read it, because I'm like thinking to myself, I would read it. But that's me. We are from a different, younger generation, like younger than that, like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
So, you try to entice them a little bit with like, oh, maybe these are prompts for ChatGPT that you can copy and paste.
Right.
Which is probably why our AI content is doing really well. It's probably because, it's new, and maybe they're always looking for things like copy and paste, ChatGPT is just a tool.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to prompt it, it's never going to give you the right answer. So we try to help in that.
Right.
But we are so much more. And trying to convey that is a bit more. It's a bit of a it has been a bit of a challenge recently that I found.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people's attention spans.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like how should I put this? Remember a time when blockchain was at the thing? People are talking about Bitcoin. I mean, they still do, but not as hype as maybe 10 years ago. So when people talk about blockchain, everyone was just fascinated by the word. They said, what is this blockchain thingy, even though it has nothing to do with their industry at all, they'll just talk about it. And even some of the Sendran Berhad start setting up whatever blockchain Sendran Berhad, this blockchain Sendran Berhad, but they have no idea what it is doing. They have no idea how blockchain is set up.
Yeah.
But they just do it for the sake of, if everyone's talking about it, then, must be something lah. Just for the sake of being in the loop lah, So AI is an interesting time, and it's facing that kind of rhythm as well. So everyone is talking about AI, do this AI, this AI, this Facebook AI, what is it, SEO AI, Instagram AI, everything is AI right now. So for us, like we know, whether or not this AI is necessary or not. Like for us, it's more about, because we're marketers, right? Like we're strategists. We only set up a strategy that makes your business better, whether it's getting more branding, whether it's increasing more sales.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. There's just nothing else that, I mean, you can get 1 million of views, but man, like, you think those influencers with millions of views, do you think all the influencers actually make big bucks? Actually, I don't. I went into this reality check, There's a lot of these guys that actually are going through very bad finances, because at first they thought, they can just leave their jobs, and even though they have the looks, to be presentable in front of the camera, and then when they start to realize those million views means nothing, it's actually not creating anything, unless people from sponsor of different brands are looking for you. Yeah. And if you're, sponsoring and advertising a certain product on screen, there's a different story. But from what I have talked to quite a number of influencers, they actually broke, like, honestly. So this is a very good lesson for those who consider to become influencers. Yeah, really consider what is real and what is not. I can tell you 90% of them are broke.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's true. The ones that make it, they weren't influencers at the start.
No.
There were musicians, there were singers, there were actual performers, people who spend decades in their art, who has some kind of presence in society before they became Instagram influencers. People already knew them, but they were doing something else. They weren't one of those when when you tell someone, or you tell a younger Gen Z, you say, what do you do? Oh, I'm an influencer. They don't say they are influencer. No. They say I'm a singer. I'm an actor. I'm an actress. they were doing something else. But because of their presence in society and people know their brand, people know their names, and that's how you influence. You cannot just be an influencer by having millions of views.
Correct.
You kind of need some kind of very good, word of mouth where people talk about you. Only then you have some kind of presence.
Yep.
And with presence, that is where you can start to reach out to brands and tell them, look, I can advertise your thing. This is the cost, whatever, right? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, influencers should have a certain amount of substance to what they do. It only helps the brand, like it reinforces the credibility of the brand by getting someone who can eloquently and credibly speak on whatever the brand's values are. And it, like, I'll give you an example of something when you were talking just triggered me. I was scrolling through my Instagram and then I saw this ad for, I can't remember, it was Carlsberg Tiger, whatever it is lah. It's a beer, and I was like, there was this girl they were talking to. I was like, oh, who are you? Then which is the same question I had. It's like, who are you? And and then she's like, oh, I'm so and so. I don't remember the name. So what do you do? And then she
I don't know where this is going now.
Yeah. Her answer was to show the dude her Instagram, right? Like, then, oh, you're an influencer. I immediately scrolled out. I was like, what does this influencer have to do with your beer? It was more that, I'm more curious when I watch ads now. More, as someone who practices it, I'm more curious. Like, okay, how do you tie into it? Okay, fine. Is she good looking? Okay, let's take looks out of the equation, because some people may find her good looking, some people don't.
Right.
That's just normal.
Right.
It's just, what substance do you have that, influencer means you influence something. What are you influencing? That's the thing. The other buzzword people throw around is KOL, key opinion leaders. What opinion are you leading?
Yeah.
That's I mean, I sound like an old man right now, but that's been my gripe with influencers for the longest time. It's what are you leading? What are you influencing? If all you are is just
number of followers, number of views,
followers,
makes no
views,
sense.
you're basically a thirst trap,
It makes no sense.
What's
exactly?
What substance do you have? So when you said, they're broke and all that, I'm like, how long can you sustain that? It's like the modeling business. Your best years are you have about 5-year window to make your money.
Yeah,
and then,
if you're still not making it after that, I think do reconsider to save your soul.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why the good ones, right, in that 5-year span, they learn how to build their brand, their personal brand, and then from there they branch out into apparel or things like that, and it work out very well for themselves. The ones who don't, I mean, reality is the reality. If all you have is your looks, you're probably going to end up marrying somebody with money lah. That's the only way to...
I mean, that's reality though. I mean, it sounds shallow.
It is.
But, that's reality.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to just be and accept it lah,
Yeah.
So it's there are a lot of flaws. Especially the much younger. I mean, from our age, like the Gen Zs. I would know because I own a business. So when I hire people, and when I start to hire candidates who are 20, 25, maybe 26, I can see a difference. Even though they have degrees, bachelor degrees in whatever, administration or accounting, whatever, it doesn't matter. I pay attention a lot to the age.
Oh yeah,
and I can see how they will think. The kind of like mentality and expectation. I say, okay, if I do this job, what's my salary? I say, this is your salary, and depending on how you perform, it'll be this. Yeah. So most of the responses after that is either 0 or they just move to the next step, or they be like, yeah, I'm not interested. I said, well, look, I mean, you have nothing to show to me. If you don't show that you can actually perform, then me as a business owner, like in my head, like, why should I?
Correct. Yeah.
Why should I hire you?
Yeah.
Just because you have a degree? No. You gotta. I mean, whatever is written in your CV, your experience, okay, good. But I want to see it myself. I don't want to just see what you have in the CV. I kind of want to see it myself. So I have my own way of assessing. You might not agree with it, but I'm in charge of the company, so I expect certain criterias on how you should be judged based on your performance. And a lot of them don't like to hear that because I think I don't know, it's a bit strange. Because to be fair, being born in like 90, 91, 92, we were, and as we go in our teenage years, right, we were in a very interesting time because we get to experience the pre-internet, before internet, dial-up, after internet, Friendster, Neopets. I don't know if people actually know about this, right? MSN Messenger. We experienced all that. We experienced jarring. We experienced 15 seconds of just waiting for that thing to connect. So we understood how development and growth kind of like take over, and there is a great understanding of being humble, and it's great understanding of understanding things take time. And you still gotta work yourself, and you still gotta be yourself, and try to be sensible, and try to have some reality checks on things instead of assuming, you should be entitled to a certain position, whether you should be entitled for a certain salary just because you work somewhere or whatever. So I'm actually proud to be part of that generation, because because honestly I just felt like that's like our group during that time, during that generation is macam almost like the saviors lah, I think, for these Gen Zs. Because
let me ask you a question. As a business owner, right? Now, I mean, these fresh grads, they're different than us in a sense where, like, I think because of our limitations with internet last time, we tend to be able to think on our feet a lot more,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like graduates nowadays, they will probably like, they've gotten so many step by step of what to do that when they're in the workforce, there's no initiative. So they just kind of like, they're waiting for you to like tell them what to do or how to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, is that a problem for you? Do you experience it?
I experienced that over and over, even until now. So as a business owner, you got to make decisions, and whether decisions to keep them or fire them. That's it. It's as simple as that. So of course, there is a window of like assessment. Maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 6 months, depending on the positions. Obviously, for more intricate managerial positions, I would need a bit a longer assessment, because you as a manager, you kind of need to be good at everything. Whether it's accounting, administration, a bit of HR, good levels of leadership. Even I tell my managers to say, when you work with me, you represent me. You represent the management. Okay. So I be straight to them. Like, you come to here 8 to 5. That's it. Don't work overtime. I don't ask you to work overtime, because I ask you to manage your time. So when your time is well managed, and you put your work in a certain format, and you can do it well, you can execute, you get it done, that's it. Get out of the office. Don't be here. I don't need you here. Don't claim for OT, because I didn't ask you to work extra hours. Once you're done, you're done. Okay. And the other thing is, I say, people who are doing the job for us, for you, they are also people. Work with them. Okay. Be a team worker. Be a leader. Lead them. At the same time, don't let them tell you what to do. They are not your friends. They are your colleagues. Work together, but don't let them tell you what to do. You tell them what to do. So I expect my managers to be firm and lead.
Yeah.
And that is my expectation of them. So
Yeah.
when I assess the window during the window period, if they can't do it, then you gotta go. So that's it.
So when they come in, are you not gonna tell them, oh, we're like a family here?
Oh no, definitely not. Like I'm very straight. I would not do that. I have not done that for the long. I actually never do that.
Yeah.
Because I used to be an employee myself, so I understand. So when the management say like, "Oh, you're part of the family," I said, "Oh, my head, no, bro, that's kind of BS to me because I don't believe in that. Like, I just come here to just do what I have to do, and that's it. Yes, no.
Take it from somebody who also was an employee, and then I fell for the family thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I went in for my work, and there's certain times where things are, when you're feeling a bit more vulnerable and all that, and it's just having it rough, right? So I had the boss who was like, "You can talk to me about anything."
Oh, bro.
And
Don't buy that. Don't buy that, bro.
I bought that.
Don't
I
buy that,
did,
bro.
and then
Oh God.
yeah,
Mistake.
I was like, I was let go. I was like, but then I was like, I was bitter. But then it occurred to me, I'm like, all those times, those few times where I was a bit like, I was saying, I'm a bit burnt out and all that, right?
Yeah.
I am devaluing myself in their eyes, because at the end of the day, we're not a family. I'm not a son. I'm not a brother.
Right.
I'm a commodity.
Right.
So and I've devalued myself. So then now I'm like, I don't buy that.
Right.
I'm actually glad that if people are a bit more straight up, they're like, you're a commodity.
Yeah.
You're here for a reason. I'm like, okay, cool.
Because people already spend their time with you. So me as a company owner, you are paid as what the time that you have given to me.
Yeah.
So be fair on both sides.
Yeah.
I be fair to you, you be fair to me. That's it. But if you don't perform, I will say it.
Yes.
And that's it. Like, it's simple. Like, it should be like that. But there are a lot, of course, there are a lot of corporate, the BS and how they say your family. I don't believe in that.
It is the rhetoric.
That is me. I cannot say that for other companies, but that is me.
But I feel like companies themselves, they shouldn't say it. That isn't, because at the end of the day, it's putting like people like me. I mean, younger folk, more impressionable folk who are like, they'll be like, they'll be a bit more vulnerable, and then they start to devalue yourself, or you get too comfortable. It's even worse.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you should get too comfortable when you're working, because you should constantly try to improve yourself.
Yes.
And then they can start thinking like, oh, we're family, right? So it's my birthday, I'm going to take a week off. No, that's not how it works. So like, okay, it's more like you can take a week off if you get your things done, lah. I think it's fair. Yeah. That's one thing about our generation entrepreneurs. It's not that we don't understand as well, Like you as a boss, I'm sure you understand. Hey, bro, as long as the work is done adequately, all that done well.
I'm simple. As long as the work is done, the job is done. It's done. That's it.
Yeah.
If it's not done, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah. Whatever you do on your own time, hey, it's all on you.
Yeah.
As long as nothing comes to my attention. Right. And once I pay attention, then
yes. So there's always that going back and forth between paying attention and not paying attention. So during the time when I didn't pay attention, I can see, like even in my company, I can see a bit loose. That's where I'd be like, oh yeah, you think I'm not paying attention? And we'll start to be, a bit more present around the office, a bit more present around the, the dry cleaners. Then you start to see they start to firm themselves up. But to me, in the end, they're just humans. Okay.
Yeah.
So we do our best to lead the best we can and support each other. That's it. Because without support on both ends, the economy doesn't run. Yeah. The economy cannot just run on money. It has to run on trust, and understanding our liabilities and exchange of responsibilities and duties.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it. I think.
Okay.
think
How,
we
how
are-
much time do we have?
Are we
I don't know.
past already?
So I feel like we've been talking a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I did. Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Oh, you booked for 2 hours?
I initially booked for 2. I tried to call them to
Oh, is it?
decrease it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, we actually have another hour. Oh, we still
well, we can still
sembang. It's
sembang,
okay.
but I don't know what to sembang about. I'm sure we can, we didn't get into like what Blackstone is. Yet,
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I mean, interestingly, for those who don't know what we are about, so the idea of Blackstone was actually, I don't know, I think it was kind of like the exchange between both of us. Honestly, it wasn't a one-sided thing. I was kind of like, Z, what do you think? What do you think we should call our company? And be like, oh, I think you remember when we went we went to set up the sole proprietor, and then the guy was like, say, oh, what to call your company?
Oh,
He's like,
I
he's
remember
like, what
that.
to call your company? You write 5 names. I'll be
5
like-
names, yeah.
And then I just passed the I passed the paper to you. It's like, and he was like thinking, you're right. And then one of them is Blackstone lah. But we did have a light conversation before that.
Yeah.
We say like, oh, I think it's going in this direction. But for the sake of like LHDN submission and all these things, they need like a few names.
Correct.
So because he has to go through like the system and whether or not they agree with the name.
I remember Blackstone was number 2 on what we wrote. I don't actually remember what we wrote for number 1 now.
Yeah.
But I remember Blackstone was number 2. And initially I looked at it, and I was like, sounds like a financial firm or private security or something,
Yeah, like a fund management house.
Which I think it is actually
Yeah.
in the States.
Yeah, it is. I realized we're going to the internet and started looking and said, oh yeah, shit, oops.
Because we had to, we have to sort of research what we were. Yeah, it was a spur of the moment thing when we came up with the name. I think I remember saying like, it's just a name. It's not like we have to use it.
Yeah.
Ended up using it.
Right.
And you know what? To good effect. I noticed that, when you talk to people, some people will say, recently I just spoke to somebody and they were like, what's your company? A Blackstone. Then they looked at me, I'm like, I think the one in New York is going through some not so good things right now. So I was like, oh, yeah, we don't do that.
No, not that.
I'm not in the financial.
That's a different Blackstone.
Yeah, I'm not in finance, bro. Yeah, you got the wrong guy. So we are Blackstone Consultancy Sarawak.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
Yeah.
So,
a bit lengthy. But we're not the Blackstone in New York. No.
No, we try to build towards the growth of Sarawak as well. So, I mean, with what we do, I mean, of course, we have our clients in like Australia and KL, and we have our other whatever. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's part of our gig, right? Where we are a homegrown Sarawakian brand and we're trying to build it up and all that and be part of the digital landscape and see where we can contribute. Again, goes back to the pride thing.
Yes. It just blends it well when you think of
well.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
At first I was because I didn't start as a master's in communication. I actually come from the civil engineering background.
Correct.
So my line of work requires a lot of systematic placement of things. So there's kind of like I guess you can say a step 1, step 2 to step 100, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But along the way we adjust.
Yeah.
So similar to how we kind of like do the strategy and planning for different companies, depending on what fits their portfolio, whether it's a service business, a fashion line, right? So coming from engineering background, I don't know about like for you lah, but for me, the way I look at it is, my line of work is obviously to kind of see fit how do businesses benefit from different skeletons of planning. So when you have a plan, you know what to do. If you
Yeah.
don't have a plan, it's kind of like you're kind of like wasting time.
Yeah.
You're kind of like just putting things out there, see how it works.
Yep.
Whereas we've already seen a landscape of many different executions of different branding styles, branding types, different social channels, how they leverage each of these channels. So we want to imitate but make it better in a way. And how can it fit the branding of certain companies? Because not everyone fits. Everyone has the kind of like their own taste. So they have to be related to their brand. They have to kind of like really love their brand. Because if you don't love your company, you don't love your brand, then what's the point? Like so we're trying to say, look, this is how it looks like. Do you like it? Do you love it? Or you just like it? So the clients go like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Only then they can resonate with us. Because if you cannot resonate with us, it's very hard to work together.
Yeah.
So it's not just a marketing agency. It is an overall execution of a marketing strategy and how we fit everything in. Because that is the idea that I have for Blackstone in terms of the strategist mindset. I don't know, like in your part, you being in the master's communications has its own definition of what how your deliverables in Blackstone, or maybe you can explain a little bit on that.
So I think that's why Blackstone works, and from what I've seen from maybe other agencies or other professionals that I speak to, right? There needs to be an anchor to what you do. I've spoken to certain professionals in the industry, in the ad industry, who they get a bit frustrated because the creatives only seem to seek awards and they're not actually doing what's best for the client. So having that, someone like yourself who has an engineering background, there's an anchor in a sense where like we are very systematic, step by step, which that's how the best companies that I've worked for, that's how they function. There's a system to it, rather than this Wild West.
Right.
Okay, let's just try everything.
No.
For me, what I bring in is like, the master of communication thing, right? That it had a good and bad.
Right.
So the bad part was that you're not really a specialist at anything.
Right.
Truth be told, you know a great deal about basically every facet of communication.
Right.
But you're not like a master of a specific type of communication. So in our case, that's where it lends a lot of benefits because I do know a good chunk of PR, I know a good chunk of advertising, journalism.
Yeah, you were quite exposed in the industry, lah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when we were studying in Melbourne, they set it up real well, and I also did work in a few other agencies, So
you were in a newspaper agency last time, right, in Melbourne.
Yeah, it was a student one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Mel magazine.
Oh,
yeah. I went for a press conference, but they sent the worst person to a press conference because you're supposed to ask questions, and I'm like, I don't know what to ask at the time. I only got the job because I needed to complete my program,
right,
and I needed work experience. So they were like offering. So then they were like, okay, there's this Junior Olympics thing happening in Melbourne. You need to cover that. And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Go there and ask questions. I'm like, what questions? So I just hear what other people ask and then I just write down and I go home. That's then I just wrote up the article. I was to be fair, I'm a pretty adequate writer, so I got away with that. That's that's just how it happened with that newspaper, that magazine actually. Yeah. So I mean, I bring that to the table. It's just seeing how agencies work. There's two things. It's because I've been sort of like part of the machine and making it work, right? I have also made certain observations. I'll be like, this could be better. This is good. So I take that and I bring it to us, I've not that being said, it's not like I've worked multinationals
Right.
or anything like that.
Right.
I've just worked small digital agencies,
Yeah.
but I've seen but in the small ones that's when you see everyone really trying to grind and try to build themselves.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and you're a bit more involved in a lot of things. So I that's what I bring, and it's also like because my philosophy with like advertising and things like that, communicating, especially for client, is the bottom line is the client wants to sell something because they need the bottom line. Someone wants to make money.
Yeah.
So
It's a business.
yeah. So I have to create a strategy or I have to create my plans or my content, all with the thought of, okay, how does this feed into the overall the 3-act program, the beginning, middle, end of how to make money.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. The funnel, pretty much.
Yeah, it's the funnel. And that's where you come in as well as it's easier because I get to
Go back and forth. Yeah.
back and forth, go back and forth. When I bounce out, I use you. But that's because you're also a business owner.
Yeah.
So
it's correct.
when I present an idea to you, your way of processing it is through the lens of a business owner.
Yes.
It's different. If you were creative and I'm a creative, wouldn't work. Wouldn't work, bro. It would be like, oh yeah, that sounds like a cool idea, and then then it goes up and it goes
to nowhere. Yeah. So that's the observing how businesses work in different industries, because I've been in the service industry, I've been in the consultancy industry, I've been in the product.
Yep.
So obviously a business's job, a business to survive, it has to make money, right? So the simple term is then just focus on making more of that money for the business, right? So the intention and the systematic approach allows me to understand how it works internally and externally. The internal part is easy.
Yeah.
The internal part meaning the operational, how the people put their hands in the work, how efficient they run their work, how much time are they spending in their work, how much, and also the operational cost, how much it costs to run the operation, whether it's the salary, the overtime, the EPF, SOXO, PEKESO, these things come into lines, and the taxes, how you going to balance all that.
Oh yeah.
So if you can optimize operational costs to the point where you are maximizing profits, then that is a good green light in the next 5-10 years. Yeah, it's simple as that. And also the KPIs and also the key people in business. For me, is the most important, number one, obviously, is the owner. Because he lays out the foundation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. The second most important, in my opinion, is also the managers, and a manager that you can trust, because there are managers out there who play politics. The managers out there who probably not the most honest people.
Oh yeah.
They say this worker is no good, this worker, but actually they themselves are no good. Because the manager sometimes they, how you say it, Melayu, they maybe gosok sikit, the boss punya,
Oh yeah.
So they feel like the boss, macam if the boss layan them nice, then the boss think, the manager think the boss think the manager is better than the rest.
Yeah.
So you always get the salary raise and whatever. So, but that is the wrong way of approaching. My job is to have the overall lens. So if I can see there's a bit of a political play in office, I will not accept that. So I would have to do something about this particular person or who. Okay, the second most important. Third most important person to me is actually the salesperson.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
without the salesperson, you cannot have the money coming in. That's as simple as it is. Yeah. But my role, obviously, in Blackstone is I kind of be like the co-founder. I mean, the founder, the strategist, and also the salesman. Because obviously, the meetings I have to go to, I kind of have to lay down on the ground and say, look, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And if we can agree upon it, then it's good. If we cannot, then we kind of have to renegotiate or see the terms.
Yeah.
Right. So the salesperson plays an important because actually the salesperson is the most front. The person behind the sales is actually the marketers. Because the marketers had to plan and strategize the blueprint for a certain campaign, whether the campaign is a short term, medium term, or long term, depending on the season, whether it's holiday season. Yeah. So the salesperson has to be presentable. Okay. And you're always in front of the customer's eyes. So whatever you say, whatever you do in front of the customer is crucial. That you present yourself at the best of your abilities, at the best condition possible.
Oh yeah.
Ensure that you wear nicely, you dress nicely, and you talk politely, and also don't forget about service.
Oh yeah.
Just because you do all that doesn't mean you can give a bad service to compensate. No. You must always give the best service as well. So customer service is next, which is part and parcel of the salesperson to ensure you deliver and communicate with the customer saying that, look, what do you think? The services is good or not? Or is there something wrong? Maybe you can tell me. So it is a salesperson's job to communicate back to the customer, going back and forth. When there's a communication between customers, you have a business and you have a long-term business, and that is why our family business has survived for 39 years. So
yeah,
and that is because of the sheer leadership when my mom was still around during that time in the business. And also the setup of the entire organization. Yeah. And of course the execution and the daily monitoring. There was definitely more micromanaging in the past. It's not so much now because of how I set it up. Because my mom and I, we are similar but not the same. Like hers is much during the past it's lesser now for obvious reasons that she has retired and kind of like more enjoying life right now. So but in the past there was definitely much more micromanaging. When I took over back in I guess you can say it's 2019 or 2021, but officially it was 2021 because documentation and all those things. So when the way I run it, it's based on KPIs. It's based on whether or not you achieve your targets. Okay, we don't want to go so far as restricting use of mobiles. Because for me it's like as long as the employees do their thing as they're doing on time, there's no complaints for customers. That's why I'm fine. But by the time when the customers start complaining, that is where I step my foot in and I ask why.
Yeah.
And that is where there's a period of time when I have to micromanage a bit.
Sure.
To kind of instill a bit of psychological monitoring, because when leaders and bosses are around, your people tend to be much more attentive to their work. So when they're attentive to their work, customers won't complain, won't it? Because you have done the best of your ability, whether it's paying attention to how you iron your shirts or how you put the things in dry cleaners and whatever. Yeah. So those small things matter.
Yeah.
So there is a period of time that I have to step, but it's not all the time. It's maybe like less than 5% of the year that I have to do that, or the number of days of the years that I have to do it. Maybe there's like a few days, less than a week. Don't really have to do that often, but that is part of leadership. You have to step in and ensure that everything is nice and steady, and obviously the respect is earned now.
Oh yeah.
Respect is not something you ask. Respect is when people can see they have a good mixture of trust and fear of the leaders. Leaders must be feared, but leaders are also trusted.
Sure.
Because they are trusted because they are the pilots of the plane.
Yeah.
Okay. But they have to be stern because there are certain policies that must follow in the name of fairness to every other employee as well. So if one employee applies for 10-day leave, then have you done your work? Have you finished up everything before you leave? If you have, good. If not, I can't really agree to that. It doesn't benefit both.
Yeah.
So there's always a back and forth thing when it comes to that. But to be a good leader comes with experience.
Yeah.
Leader is not just born out of the womb. You become a good leader. Good leaders, you need the experience to see it, and the trust and a good balance. Not maybe some of the sayings about leaders. Leaders shouldn't be feared. I disagree. Leaders have to be feared to a certain degree because it is the level of respect people have towards you. If they look at you and they cannot respect you, they don't fear you, they cannot respect you.
Yeah.
And they tend to, lengang and relax a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have to be trusted because they know you can lead the ship. You can pilot the plane to safety, to landing. Okay. So marketing and advertising and branding is part of it.
Sure.
It is not the overall determinant of the success of the business. We can do all the marketing and whatever for any business, but if your foundation of the business is not running well, if you assume it's running well, then it's not the best thing, is it? So most of the time I will communicate to potential clients to understand how is their business going, so that when if anything doesn't go as planned, they cannot really point fingers. They cannot say, hey, because of your strategy it didn't work. I say, well, no, because when we came in, your business is still the same. Like you're still doing the old thing.
Yeah.
So there's always a back and forth, and that's where I think agencies lack the kind of business knowledge. What makes a good business? What doesn't?
Yeah.
Okay. It's different if like a multi-million business come to us and say, can you do a rebranding? First of all, we can.
Yeah.
Partly because your business is doing well. Okay. You're a listed company. You have billions of dollars in the back of your name, and whatever we do might not have a big impact.
Sure.
Because your presence is already there. It's rather more of like a corporate rebranding. So it's kind of, maybe it's the colorings, maybe it's the logo design, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So you see, it's different when a startup comes to us and be like, can you help us? I say, well, we can, but what is your idea and what are you trying to achieve? And can you achieve it?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. The marketing is just part of it, but your startup idea has to deliver what the people want. Okay, whether it's to improve customer service or to improve food delivery. Yeah. Or to improve cleanliness of a certain area or whatever your startup idea is. You gotta ensure that startup works first before you even sort out any agencies to help you with your branding or marketing. I mean honestly, you being in the you've been in the industry like big names like Nestle. So what have you seen and what do you think the approach is Blackstone versus Nestle. Of course, Nestle is a big company, right? Of course, they have a systems of policies and lawyers and financial backing.
Yeah.
So.
But you see, when we started Blackstone and all that, that was the system I wanted to employ, because when I was working digital with Nestle, one of the things that I loved, and it's above everybody, every other company I've ever worked for, it was so systematic. Like, you know what you need to do. So, once you have a creative or something you want to propose digitally, okay, you have to go through the different departments, and you have to get each head to sign off on it, like legal, or was it yeah, whatever. So basically, there was a few departments you have to go through to get it, and unless everybody signs off on it, you're not going to get greenlit. So I liked that. And for the longest time, everywhere when I was bouncing before Blackstone, I was bouncing around jobs, I looked for that, because it also makes my job, I wouldn't say easier, but I guess in a way I understand the scope better, because okay, now I know what I have to do, what questions I have to answer to. If you give me a blank canvas and say, draw anything, but it has to be related to, I don't know, cereal, for example. Yeah, I'll be like, okay, it's very hard, because then I'll just start drawing whatever.
The most random thing.
And then so at least now there's a certain structure to it. I base a lot of what I've done with Blackstone from Nestle, from my time in Nestle, because there I worked with their brands, their Nescafe or Milo, all that, the cereals. I worked with all of them, and I watched how I had to read, like, these are the do's and don'ts.
There's such thing.
There's do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts with that. How you're supposed to, how our branding. This is our messaging. This is our voice. All these things. It's like,
that's nice.
Yeah, it gives me
proper.
Yeah, it's a sandbox, and I don't feel restricted at all by that. I feel relieved, because I'm like, okay, I know what you want now.
Yes.
Rather than, I've also had work experiences where they'll be like, I want to achieve, say, okay, if I'm working with a personal branding, I want to be an influencer. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
And and then they'll be like, I figure it out. I'm supposed to figure out what you want to be. You know what I mean? And
that's
then
the worst.
Yeah, now because it's my job, I'll do it. I'll come back to you, and you'll be like, no, and then you get frustrated.
You get frustrated.
And it's like, why don't you know? I'm like, dude, it's like if I ask you to draw me a house, and you draw me a house, say no. Why can't you just draw me a house? Houses have many styles. Bohemian, Spanish villas, modern.
Exactly.
Yeah. But if your house does not match what's in my head, some people are worse. They can't even tell you what's in there. They don't even know. They have nothing in their head. They just know what they don't want. But they can't tell you that either. So they'll figure it out as they go along.
That's the worst. There's just no direction.
It's the worst. It's that lack of direction that's why when coming to Blackstone, and I was like, okay, I have the ability to work with you and like kind of build up a system. I'm like, it was mostly based on Nestle, because they run a really tight ship. That's how your brand should be treated. That's how. And once you go through all that, regulatory, you go through legal, and people sign off on it. Back then when I was doing the the package, like the banners and things like that, it's like halal packaging. The halal logo has to be there. where's the positioning?
Right.
I've had the thing sent off to me like positioning is a bit off. I have to start from scratch.
Oh, damn.
It has happened, but
Wow.
but I understand why. Because one of those pillars falls down, there's a lot of repercussions, especially for a company that big. So
Right.
that's why even now, even in our infancy, I try to adopt that because it's more like there's certain things there's certain things that we can do and there's do's and don'ts that we can do. We're a bit more free now because we're still in the infancy.
Yep.
But eventually we're gonna get bigger and more people are gonna pay attention.
Yes.
And how are you gonna deal with that? In Nestle, there's there was crisis monitoring in the digital. So we can gauge public sentiment.
Yep.
And how to get ahead of any backlash back in the day.
Yep.
Oh,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So have you seen anything of critical? And how do you save it? Like, is there such thing? Like when you were working there?
While I was there, no. I mean, now with the recent boycotts, it's probably hell to work there, but but it is what it is. Yeah. I don't know how you get ahead of an ongoing boycott.
Yep.
I know it affects them, but I don't know to what degree. Yeah. So I mean, when I was in uni, we learned crisis management.
Yeah.
But it was also like, okay, these are the steps.
Yep.
Now there's a step-by-step guide on how to get ahead of a certain crises.
Yep.
I'm sure Nestle had the same thing.
Yep.
Now, granted, the whole boycott thing is
Yeah.
it's much harder to get to because sometimes there's no amount of crisis management for people's stubbornness or unwillingness to listen, shall we say. So it is, again, it is what it is for them. And, but coming back to Blackstone, that's why I try to have all these things kind of like, these are things I learned.
Yes.
So these are, and I've seen why they are necessary. Because having worked in a place with nothing, just, it's either like, you do, I work for creative directors who basically say, you either work my way or you don't work at all. Then you're trying to get me to be a second you, but I'm not a second you. There's no way I can be a second you.
Correct. You know, when people say that, right, I always felt like it's more like an ego thing.
Yeah,
it's more like saying like, you should listen to me.
Sure.
Because all their life, people don't listen to them. And there's a reason why people don't listen to them because, because their character is like that, I think when because you have such a good experience in both the corporate and the startup level, and also kind of like the freelance level as well.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm sure you've also told me that you have experience doing socials for comedians.
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah.
So what is it? Well, how, like, in comparison to the corporate style? How is it like to kind of like manage the socials for comedic style of anyone of that stature, especially in someone in the entertainment industry? Is there any like differences?
I thought it would be fun at first because comedy, right?
Yep.
But again, because I worked in Nestle before, I worked the comedian, and I was just like, okay. At the end of the day, their style of comedy is their brand. Whether I find it funny or not, which is the challenging bit, because sometimes you put out content, I'm like, I don't think it's funny, but what I don't think is funny is clearly maybe I'm not the target anymore. I'm not the person buying tickets to this person.
Right.
Sometimes what they say is funny, sometimes not so much.
Right.
So, but bottom line is, what's their brand of comedy?
Yeah.
Like, I will think like, what's their brand of comedy? How do you distribute their sets, their recorded sets, enough that people want to come and see them? If they're going on tour, like to different, like how do I plan how to promote them on socials? Like how many days in advance. Because sometimes they themselves don't know. They're like, oh, I got a show booked in 2 weeks.
Oh.
And I'm like, and the person I worked with, they're in New York.
Right.
So I'm in Malaysia. The time difference is not helpful.
Yeah.
But
So how do you balance that? This must be challenging, right?
we try. So I think when we worked together, we worked quite well because we had our weekly meetings, and then we decided that weekly is a bit much, so we did bi-weekly. Because at some point we understood each other.
Right.
I know what you want.
That's the goal you want to achieve, isn't it?
Correct.
Where you actually understand each other. Yeah.
So the first few weeks we did weekly,
Yep.
but it was very quick when we transitioned to bi-weekly because she was like, and they're busy.
Right.
As well. That's the key thing. They're very busy. So, I just once every 2 weeks we'll chat about what they want to promote. And the questions always same. Okay, what are you trying to promote? Do you have a special coming up? Is it a Netflix thing? Is it a show? What is it? And then
what is it about?
Yeah,
what is the show? You know?
Correct. Do you want a theme?
Yeah.
And maybe it was just luck as well, but I understood the assignment quite often.
Right.
When they're performing in Vegas, I'm like, okay, I got you. I have a vision. Immediately, I have a vision. Okay, I got it.
You have that kind of image in your head, like how it's going to look.
That's what I pride myself on as a creative. It's to have that image that certain, someone who's not in my line who tries to do what I do probably couldn't come up with. They could. I'm not saying they couldn't. They could, but not as quick. I could pick it up as I sit down and I'm talking to you, and the brain is starting to visualize what does it look like, and then boom, like okay, cool, and then I'll go communicate to graphic designers, things like this, and then then finally the image come out, and before I even present it to the comedian, I will I have to go through and go see was that what I envisioned, and I'm like nope, because there has been times where I just brought straight from the graphic designer. I will keep is this what you're looking for? Is this what you're looking for? And she'll be like, no. And I know, because I know that's not the what they're looking for.
Yeah. Right.
So at some point that was the best feeling for me was earning her trust.
Yeah.
Earning their trust. And then that was the important thing.
Right. The fact that you can actually understand the assignment quickly.
Yeah.
That is your niche right there. Is and that's one of the skills that not many marketers understand. The branding aspect. There's a certain kind of like typography or style or image that a client wants.
Yeah.
But on their part, it's kind of like it's very hard for them to communicate. So so they can kind of like tell you, okay, it might look like this, but it's something like this. So it's really up to you to kind of like combine that, and you kind of like see, so okay, this is the direction that they want. And when you present kind of like the first draft, and be like, man, this is the one I'm looking for. So that is almost like a bingo lah.
Yeah.
For you lah.
Or the best one is when they have no idea. Like for example, when they were like performing at some random, it's not like a Vegas, it's not like an LA where you can just do a theme.
Right.
It's like some random one, and you're like, you have to think of a theme then, and I propose one.
Yeah.
And then they go like, I didn't think about that, but that's brilliant. How do you pull it off? And then I go to the, then you start going graphic design and everything. I'm like, I know exactly what I want.
Yeah.
You just have to do this.
Yeah.
And then it comes out, and then they showed it to them, and they're like, they start loving it so much. And then they said, we want to do a series of these things. I'm like,
that's great.
Oh, that was the most rewarding to me. Yeah.
I mean, you've done so many of these things to clients, right? So for them, it's like the fact that you can subconsciously communicate to them is that instantly just gains their trust towards you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, because on my part, it's more like the strategy part. Your part is the mental creative part. So
Yeah.
so it blends together in a sense.
Sure. That's
Together.
That's what Blackstone is.
Yeah. So that's. So you remember when we were just talking about setting up something similar. I never thought it was going to be like a marketing agency per se. It was more like a hobby thing.
Yeah,
we were doing. It was starting with Sarida at first,
Yeah.
right? So from there I realized that wow, like this thing is actually nice. So the fact that I only like showcase a little bit about what the history is to you and what I want to represent, like, which is more like the so-called upmarket kind of like clients, customers coming in. Yeah. So there's a certain look.
Sure.
And you did it very nicely on that.
Thank you.
So that is marvelous lah. Like not a lot of people have that kind of.
It's about listening to what you as a client want, and even if you can't describe what you're looking for, I should be able to, just from what you've described what it is, I should be able to come up with what it looks like. Yeah. It's creating the image that you can't see yet and making it go like either the desired reaction is of course like, oh, of course that's what I'm looking for. But if not, no problem. Let's fine tune it. I mean, it's a collaborative process as well.
Right.
Yeah. I need more information about what to do, how to do it. And the more information I get, the easier it is to see that picture. Yeah.
So it's more like a process of elimination rather than having too many things in one plate. So because if you're cooking steak, for example, it's gonna be the steak.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the mashed potatoes, and it's gonna be like the sauce or whatever, right?
Sure.
You're not gonna have the rice. You're not gonna have the other stuff that doesn't represent a steak, right?
Not necessary.
So it's kind of like fitting into that plate. What is right?
Sure.
Like what should it represent? Okay. So good stuff, lah. Good stuff. Yeah.
Think we should wrap it up here.
Yeah. Is there anything more in there? Nothing much really. Right?
No, I think we covered everything quite well.
Okay lah.
We can end it.
If that's the case, I think just end it lah.
Yeah. Okay. We're good.
Yeah. No, true.
No, true.
Thank you.
We very Joe Rogan style.
Yeah.